Okay, we've been recording.
Yeah, I know. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody, and welcome.
To Ghoul Society. That's my big sister, Jamie.
And that's my little sister, Sara. We are grateful to be recording on the unceded, stolen territories of the Songhees and Esquimalt First Nations and the Lekwungen and Wasanich peoples whose historical relations with the land continue to this day. As uninvited guests, we are committed to disrupting racism and colonial violence within ourselves, our families, and our communities. By listening to this podcast, you've officially been inducted into the Ghoul Society.
And we're back.
I was just trying to copy you.
Yeah, I know. We're back again.
We're gonna do it again.
And again.
And again. And again, again.
Can you believe it's been like 4 months of Ghoul Society?
Woohoo! That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of us.
Me too.
That's great.
It's so fun and...
Yeah, it feels fun every time.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit like, oh my god, I have to write my story.
Same.
But every time I find something, I'm like, oh, I'm going to do a story on that.
Yeah.
But then when I have to write it, I'm like, oh my god. But then when I get into it, I actually love doing it. So.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I have like a list of potential topics. And then when I look at them, I'm like, research is hard. And it takes so long.
It does.
And I'm like, when do I even have the time? But I do have the time.
Yeah. You just got to make the time for it.
But like I was saying, I started running. What?
Yeah. Sissy's running all over the place. You probably
never thought I'd ever say those words.
I know. I was so surprised.
I know. I'm doing a 5K relay. Mm-hmm. More like 5.5.
So do you run the whole 5K or do you only run like a portion of the 5K?
So it's a relay.
Yes.
So, well, because it's Oak Bay Marathon. So the length is 25 kilometers.
I didn't know if the length was 5K and you were each doing a small portion or if you each are doing 5K.
Like 5, it's like 5.5 per.
Amazing.
Relay.
That's great. Person. And how is your training going so far?
Good. I've been doing it for like a week now. Mm-hmm. And I've already feel like words escape me.
Words are escaping me.
I think that I'm already feeling a bit better. Like even on my bike, when I biked here today, I was like, whoa, I feel good.
Nice. Mm-hmm. That's great.
Yeah. Yay. I'm really slow, obviously.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing interval running.
You gotta start slow too, because otherwise your body is gonna be like, what the fuck are you doing to me?
Yeah. And it is a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I also hadn't been doing much weightlifting or yoga recently either.
Yeah.
So I have to do some more yoga mobility stuff and then
good idea.
Work on my running as well. But so far it's going good, and listen, my knees don't hurt. I don't have shin splints. I got really great shoes from my coworker.
Perfect.
So yeah.
Yay, that's amazing.
So
that's
far,
so exciting.
Good. And it's fun, and I even ran in the rain last weekend.
What?
And I was like, whoa, am I a real runner now?
Yeah,
I used to make fun of runners.
Oh, Sara.
I know, I'm so mean.
You're a bully.
I'm a bully. Well, in my car.
Yeah.
I see people riding and be like, you think you're better than me or something?
Sara, that sounds like some deep insecurity.
Yeah, because I've never been able to run.
Oh, so then you took it out on other people. Well, I'm glad that you realized
no one else was there. I was just saying it to myself.
Yeah, but still saying it to yourself is bad.
I guess that's kind of mean. Yeah. I don't know. Some people who run are like...
ego.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ew, that's gross.
Yeah. But a lot of people aren't.
That's true.
I think most people aren't.
Yeah.
But that's great. I'm so excited for your running journey.
Yeah.
We can run if you want to run together.
Yeah. So that's in May. So I have 20 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you following a training plan?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Good. Kind of. I'm kind of following 2. Because one of them is I just looked up couch to 5K.
Oh,
but that's 3 times a week. And then
that's a lot.
Well, one of my coworkers sent me one, and that one's 6 times a week.
What?
Because it starts out like you run for like 6 minutes only.
Yeah.
Like that's your first run. And then it's 1 minute intervals of running and walking just for 6 minutes. So it's like super, super short.
I see.
And then it just gets longer as you keep going.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to go out longer than 6 minutes. So I've been doing 20 minutes, which is what the Couch to 5K is.
Mm-hmm.
I've just been doing like I'm going to do like 3 to 4 times a week.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Probably
Wow.
3.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
But that's really good.
Yeah.
So exciting. So exciting.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get back into my usual gym schedule.
That's good.
I actually did pretty good in December.
Oh, yeah?
Except over this last little bit because
The
we were
holidays,
gone.
Yeah.
Like, just over the New Year's bit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then, but I'm feeling like I'm gonna figure it out for the semester and it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
So,
that's good.
yeah.
Yay. That's great. What else is new?
It's kind of it.
Nothing, I guess.
That's it. That's all she wrote.
That is it.
Tell me a story.
Okay. Today we are going to Kingston,
Ontario?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going out east.
Going out
to
east.
the Kingston Penitentiary.
Oh. Do you know the traditional lands that that's on?
I don't actually. Let me look.
Let's look it up.
Thank you for reminding me.
You're welcome. I was thinking about that with the Banff Hotel one, actually. This is a little corrections corner.
Oh, yeah.
But, so for Banff, which was one of the, like, spooky hotels episode, right?
Yeah.
It's on Treaty 7 territory. And it is home to the Niitsitapi from the Blackfoot Confederacy, of whom the Siksika, Kainai, and Piikani First Nations are part, the Iraha Nakota of the Chiniki, Bearspaw, and the Goodstoney First Nations, the Tsuut'ina First Nation, the Métis Nation of Alberta, and many others whose histories, languages, and cultures continue to enrich the vibrant community of Banff.
Nice.
Yeah. Whoa. Hey, this is kind of interesting. The Bow Valley,
Yeah.
which is where we used to live,
Yeah.
was also and is still important to the Tsuut'ina and the Secwepemc First Nations. And Secwepemc is in Salmon.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Whoa.
Because I guess it makes sense.
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
I think that
I guess it kind of goes like through like that, but the valley area, right? Pretty cool.
Okay, so Kingston, what is now Kingston, Ontario, is on the traditional lands of the, I'm so sorry, Anishinaabeweki Nation, and it's kind of near Treaty 3.5.
Interesting.
So it's Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and the Haudenosaunee.
I think so.
Okay, thank you. And the Huron-Wendat nations.
Nice. More.
Yes.
Thank you.
And probably more.
Probably more
on this map.
Yep. But that's a pretty great interactive map.
Yeah, it is.
I talk about it all the time.
Yeah, I always forget what the map is called, but
yeah, so
that's great. I should
native-land.ca, and it's a globe, an interactive global scale map, and you can zoom in, zoom out, spin it around. It's awesome.
You can filter it for territories, languages, and treaties as well.
Yeah.
And so you can, it's really cool. I used it a lot in school. Yeah. It's so cool to I like just looking at it.
Yeah,
and
me
being
too.
like, whoa.
Whoa, I know. So much.
Yeah. Okay, so Ratticus also really likes it.
Yeah.
Okay. To get us started, here's a brief overview of the Kingston Penitentiary's history. It was built between 1833 and 1834, and it opened on June 1st, 1835, as the, quote, provincial penitentiary of the province of Upper Canada, end quote.
Okay.
And I don't really know what that means.
It's just like settler language
Yeah.
for like, yeah.
But
This
like
is the part
Upper
that we stole.
Canada,
Yeah.
if it's up, like,
I don't
huh? I don't get it.
don't
Whatever.
really understand either.
And it was a maximum security penitentiary. When it opened, 6 prisoners were accepted into its walls.
What?
And it's huge.
Oh my, that would be so scary.
Yeah, 6 people. And its official capacity that's listed on Wikipedia is 564 people.
Mm-hmm.
And it housed men and women.
And I'm sure it went over that number at many points.
Yeah. So I don't really know, like, its official capacity was just over 500, but at some points it held like 900 people.
Imagine how scary that would be. You're one of those 6 people.
I know.
Like, maybe you did something wrong. Maybe you didn't do something wrong.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
First of all, you're exiled into the prison industrial complex, which is a huge fucking issue to start with.
Mm-hmm.
You're stripped of your identity, your rights, your everything.
Everything. You're just a number.
And not only that, you're going to face like all of this crazy shit of like disease and illness.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, okay, we're going to move you into the brand new penitentiary.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, it's just you and 5 other people.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I
Okay.
know. Isn't that crazy?
Crazy.
Yeah, it's so scary. So it housed men and women, but I couldn't find a lot of information about the women's section of the prison because it was the women's section, I guess. I don't know.
Because the patriarchy.
Yeah, the penitentiary even held children within its walls for petty theft when it opened in the 1800s.
That's disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I couldn't really find like when they stopped putting children in there.
Probably like 2020.
Yeah.
Sorry, bad joke.
In 1990, it was designated as a National Historic Site of Canada, and it officially closed on September 30th, 2013.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it was
quite
like
recent.
It was saying that it was a National Historic Site, but then they're like, but we'll still operate it as a prison.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because it was really fucking old.
Wow.
At the time, it was one of the oldest prisons in continuous use in the world when it closed.
Holy.
Yeah.
Did they even have anything? Like running water?
See, I couldn't see. Okay, this is the thing, is I couldn't really find a lot about like any renovations or anything, but they did happen.
I wonder actually if it was set up with water systems already.
It could be. It's on the water.
Yeah, so probably.
Yeah. Kingston Pen was one of 9 prisons, 9 in Kingston area.
What?
And currently there's 6 in in Kingston.
Kingston's small though.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, Ontario's just like, we need another prison put in Kingston, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's currently 6 prisons in Kingston, Ontario.
That's also like, I think this is right, that's also where a lot of immigrants live too.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure, like, my history on Toronto and Kingston and that area isn't super good. But then that would also make sense.
Yeah.
Because, like, immigrants are way more likely to be incarcerated.
Yes.
So, or anyone that's not white.
Thanks, racism.
Thanks, racism.
The prison's lot originally had a 12-foot high wooden fence, like a picket fence.
Okay.
And in 1845, some towers, stock walls, and the North Gatehouse were completed. Additionally, through 1859 to 1861, a dome was added to connect the cell blocks of the prison.
Oh.
I'll show you a picture.
Okay.
Also, I looked up what stock walls are, and they're essentially walls where prisoners would be chained up.
Oh.
Yeah. So, that's nice.
Awesome. Sarah's pulling up a picture right now.
Yeah.
Let's see.
This is like the dome.
Oh, so that was an open space before.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it connects like different cell blocks. And this is what one of the cell blocks looks like.
Yep.
So like it was obviously renovated.
Yeah.
Because it obviously
it
did
looks
not.
pretty new. It's very like 80s.
Yes.
I wonder if there's sections of it that are older and sections of it that are newer.
Yeah, probably. I couldn't really find any, like, I went on the King's, like, their website, and it didn't really have any info about, like, renovations.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Makes sense.
I don't know.
Keeping secrecy.
Yeah. The site of the prison was originally chosen based on what they thought would keep the prisoners healthy.
Okay.
Because it had good access to water and the abundant quantities of limestone, which was used to construct the prison. Because Kingston, Ontario just sits on limestone.
Why would limestone be healthy?
I don't know. They just were like, yeah, it's good because we can build it out of limestone.
Okay.
And it's on the water, so it's good for the prisoners, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. The original cells were 2 feet wide, 8 feet deep, and 7 feet high.
2 feet
wide. 73.7 centimeters, which is 2 feet.
24 inches wide.
Yeah.
That's this big.
Okay, that's a lie then.
Wait, this is 12 inches. This is probably 24 inches.
Wait.
2 meters,
Something
maybe?
lied.
2 meters. Maybe 2 meters.
It must be meters.
But then that seems too big.
Yeah.
2 feet. That would be unhinged. Wait, 70. Are you looking up 78 centimeters to inches?
It's 73.
Oh.
29 inches. That's 20, what Wikipedia says.
So it like 2.5 feet. Okay. Well, I believe it, but that's, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah. I don't know.
I guess so. But that is more narrow than the bed that we're sitting on right now.
Yeah, they must have been
from here to the wall.
They must have been reconstructed. Yeah.
But they could have been that small. Who knows? People who build prisons are a little deranged, so.
Yeah. So, maybe they just, knock some of the walls down and were like, these 2 cells are now 1 cell. Maybe. I don't really know. I got frustrated because I was like, I need to know more information. And, even on the stupid website, it just talks about the tours.
Right.
So I'm like, that doesn't really help me.
Damn. Guess we have to take a trip.
Guess we have to go there
on
and take a tour.
On our favorite rocket ship flying through the sky. Anyway,
fun fact, author Charles Dickens visited the prison in 1842 and claimed, quote, "There's an admirable jail here, well and wisely governed and excellently regulated in every respect. The men were employed as shoemakers, rope makers, blacksmiths, tailors, carpenters, and stonecutters, and in building a new prison, which was pretty far advanced towards completion. The female prisoners were occupied in needlework," end quote.
Wow.
That's what
I don't know what to
make Charles Dickens said.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why he went there. He just went, I don't know.
Okay. Probably to write his little books.
I guess.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's kind of the beginning history of the prison. Moving into the 1900s brought about 2 notable riots, that just happens in prisons.
Yes.
One occurring on August 14th, 1954. A 2-hour riot occurred involving 900 inmates.
Whoa.
And began during a basketball game in the prison's yard when a guard was allegedly attacked and several inmates allegedly set fire to a shop and warehouse in the yard. I'm saying allegedly because this is written as fact, but I don't know.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
During the riot, a breakout was attempted, but the guards were able to keep the prisoners inside.
Damn.
The riot caused the guards to call in 160 army personnel.
Holy.
And an RCMP squad.
Oh, God.
And allegedly, there were 50 ringleaders of inmates of this riot who were placed in solitary confinement.
No.
So they were likely beaten and starved. And
yeah. and also in the dark and alone.
Yeah.
And we all know what that does to the human psyche.
Yeah, because I'll describe it a bit more later on, but there's this one part of the prison that
The hole.
I mean, yeah, it used to be the psych area, and then they were like, no, we're turning it into solitary confinement. I think that's what happened. And they, like, the prisoners weren't allowed to talk.
Yeah.
They,
Yeah.
like, even just in the regular part of the prison, they weren't allowed to talk unless they were spoken to
Yeah.
by the guard. Yeah, like, this prison is awful.
Yeah.
It's really, really awful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So.
Too bad the ride didn't work.
Well, so there was a second riot that occurred. This riot, the second one, is pretty freaking fucking, it's so crazy. It's like my whole story is this riot, essentially. Okay. The second one occurred on April 14th, 1971, and was a huge incident within Kingston itself at the time. The riot was started by the prison's barber, Billy Knight, and lasted 4 days and resulted in the death of 2 inmates. 6 guards were held hostage but eventually released as well. During this time, Kingston was considered to be the harshest prison in Canada and held 641 prisoners in 1971. Man,
I mean, yeah, like when they hold guards hostage, doesn't feel so good when the shoe's on the other foot, does it?
Yeah.
Doesn't feel so good, does it? To be held hostage, does it? Huh? No,
actually,
it fucking doesn't.
The guards were treated actually pretty well.
Yeah, I bet they were. Yeah. Like, oh my God.
Ron Tripp, a journalist who visited the prison around the time of the riot, wrote, quote, "As soon as you walked in, you had a sense that society had crushed and defeated you. It was a human warehouse of death, decay, and horror. Many inmates died of murder and suicide within its walls," end quote.
Wow. That's really sad.
Prisoners, again, were reportedly not permitted to speak outside of their cells, and solitary confinement was often used as punishment. Roger Caron, a prisoner and turned author, wrote about the bell that was stationed at the center of the prison's dome, which the prisoners despised, quote, "To the cons, it was an object of repugnance and outrage, an unjustifiable punishment, a brass monster that we were convinced had been designed solely to shatter our nerves with its loud and strident ringing. For the prison staff, it was the golden cow," unquote.
Oh, crazy.
It was just a bell.
Yeah.
That they rung.
Oh, yeah.
Like, for, like, meals and, like, other stuff.
Yeah, that would, like, Pavlov you so hard.
Yeah. Caron claimed that the prison was still governed by, quote, archaic, unquote, Victorian rules in 1971. One being that inmates were sent to solitary if they were caught pleasuring themselves in their cells.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's fucked.
Yeah, and there was, like, peepholes in their doors, and so the guards could, like, see into their cells and see if they were, like, masturbating.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
So the cells weren't just, like, iron rod cell doors. They were, like, solid doors.
I think it depended on which cell block they were in.
I see.
Yeah. Caron claims in his book that the lack of recreational programs, which were abolished over time, was the main reason that the riot began, stating it, quote, "was one of the few federal institutions that still insisted on keeping the prisoners deadlocked in cages for as long as 18 hours a day for no better reason than punishment," end quote.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Oh God. Punishment is never, ever, ever the answer.
No.
Ever. Also, I learned that, yes, like, prisons are federally funded and federally run, but whoever is the, like,
warden?
Yeah, whoever is the warden gets to choose the rules of what happens in the prison.
Right.
So, like there was programs that Bristol was doing with incarcerated people through UVic.
Yeah.
And they were doing it for a really long time, and then the warden changed And the warden was like, no, this can't happen anymore. And it was
Whoa,
like
what the fuck?
allowing like incarcerated people to be students and take
Yeah.
like philosophy classes and stuff.
Yeah.
And then
And
the
they took
warden
it
was
away?
like, no. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
So
that.
like warden has full power over the prison that they run.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's crazy.
That's so fucked up.
I know.
Oh my god.
That's one of the small fucked up things.
Yeah.
There's so many things.
By the fall of 1970, more and more prisoners were punished by being sent to solitary confinement, as overcrowding at the prison led to tensions between the prisoners, which were often resolved by making accusations to the warden of being, quote, troublemakers, end quote.
Yeah.
This increase of solitary led to an increase in suicides and an angry mood with prisoners willing to risk everything by lashing out against a system of oppression. On January 18th of 1971, the warden wrote to the commissioner of penitentiaries and warned, quote, there is a high degree of tension at this time. In face, it appears to be almost at the point of explosion, end quote.
Oh, God.
So the warden knew that it was shit.
Yeah. Yikes.
And it was overcrowded. I guess, like, wardens don't have control of how many people are coming in, really.
No,
so,
I don't
like,
think so. I don't know how that whole thing works.
The prisoners issued grievances to the media, including lack of rec time, lack of work, and concerns about conditions in the newly built Millhaven prison, which was feared to be more harsh than Kingston.
What?
Holding over 1,000 inmates and deemed to be inescapable.
Whoa.
And so when Millhaven was built, a lot of a lot of prisoners in Kingston were supposed to be sent there, and then they heard all these horrible stories about how much worse it was. Wow. And Kingston was already supposedly the worst prison in Canada.
Oof.
Mm-hmm.
So bad.
Mm-hmm. So in March of 1971, Billy Knight, the barber, started planning an uprising to protest conditions in the prison.
Fair.
Because it was built in the 1830s, whatever, it was drafty.
Yeah.
And they obviously never fixed it, and it's right on the water.
Yeah, I bet it's fucking freezing in there. Yeah.
And I don't know how they
They're probably not heating it at all.
Yeah, I don't know how they added heat or anything. Because it's not stated anywhere, because it probably wasn't humane.
Mm-hmm.
So they probably don't want to have that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or, on the internet.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
I heard about this one, I don't remember what prison it is. It's somewhere in the States where they painted on heaters to make it look like there were heaters in the prison.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So that if people came in and took photos,
it would look there was heaters?
Yeah, but there wasn't.
What the fuck?
Yeah. That's ultra evil. That's not just being there's no heat. That's being we're going to pretend that there's heat. But there's there's not
That's
the basic.
So fucked up.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know.
They probably would do that in Kingston.
Yeah, they probably would. Or Millhaven sounds like too.
So on the evening of April 14th, 1971, the bell rang for inmates to return to their cells.
Ugh.
Lining up, one of the guards ordered Billy, the barber, to tug in his shirt because it was untucked. And for some reason, Billy feared that his plan was already unraveling. So he punched the guard in the stomach.
Fair.
And yelled, quote, "That's the last fucking order you're going to give," unquote. And another inmate then took the guard's keys and shut the gate to the dome. Within minutes, some of the inmates had taken a few guards hostage and essentially took control of the dome.
Wow.
Billy then opened all the cells and said, quote, "Brothers, our time has come to shake off the shackles. We've taken control of the dome and we've got 6 hostages. You will all be released from your cells," end quote.
Wow, that actually is bringing tears to my eyes.
Yeah.
Because I fear that it doesn't end well.
Not really. There's kind of twists and turns.
There's this hope. There's this hopefulness of brothers, we are free.
Yeah. So essentially they have control of the dome, which is essentially like a center part of the prison.
Yeah.
The first act for the prisoners to complete was to smash the bell they hated so much, and they attempted to take control of the kitchen, although they were unsuccessful. Because I guess some other guards were like, no.
Okay. I wonder then the guards just kind of let it play out how it was going to play out.
I mean, yeah, they took 6 hostages.
Right.
They took 6 guards hostage. So, yeah. The warden ordered that all off-duty guards return to the prison and to arm themselves from the armory. And so a lot of stuff happened that we don't have time to cover because this riot could be literally a whole episode in and of itself. But here are some highlights. Billy and the warden, whose name was Arthur Jarvis, met in a tense standoff in the gym where Billy demanded that the prisoners held in the gym by gunpoint were allowed to return to the dome, saying one of the guard hostages would be killed if this demand wasn't met.
Whoa.
So all 64 inmates who were gym at the time, at the beginning of the riot, returned to the dome without incident.
Wow.
The prisoners in the 1D range of cell blocks, which housed child molesters and rapists, were afraid of being murdered by the other inmates.
Fair. Yeah, because, I mean,
Yeah.
I do believe in prison justice.
Yeah.
So.
And Billy ordered that they be left alone, though the other prisoners didn't really agree, so they took a fire hose and flooded the cell block.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. The chapels within the prison were sacked and vandalized as prisoners were forced to attend services every Sunday morning.
Okay.
Even if they weren't, it didn't matter. They were forced to go to church.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That's giving me a little bit like residential school vibe, too.
Mm-hmm. I know.
It's fucked up.
Negotiations began on the morning of April 15th, so literally the next day, for food for the inmates, with the guard hostages being used as a bartering tool. No food and they would be killed, essentially, is what the inmates said.
Whoa.
The guard hostages were kept in a cell and included Donald Flynn, Joseph Valier, Terry Decker, Carrie Bushell, and Ed Barrett. Ed was used to help negotiate over the phone with the warden, speaking with Jarvis, and he even spoke to his wife to prove that he was alive.
Oh,
Because they were like, well, you could be anyone on the phone.
Right.
So then they were like, okay, call your wife. And she was like, she was all like, you're not my husband. And he was like, he had to like convince her that he was him.
What?
Because she thought he was an inmate pretending to be him.
Oh, I see. I see. Wow.
The morning of April 15th, Billy held a press conference where he read out demands to the media. One of the demands being a citizens committee to be formed to mediate the crisis, as there was no trust in the Crown. Although this was initially rejected, the Crown changed their minds and a briefing was held afterwards, and a reporter and camera crew were allowed into the prison and given a tour by Billy.
Whoa, like a tour of
the
what
prison
was going on?
Yeah.
Like during the riot?
Yeah.
Wait, sorry, who let them in? Billy?
Yeah.
He was like, I'm in charge now.
Yeah, he is leading this riot. He is in charge.
Whoa,
right now.
So there's footage of this riot then?
I think so, yeah.
Whoa.
There must be.
Okay.
The committee that Billy demanded eventually met. They rejected the demand for total immunity for inmates involved in the riot. But if anyone were charged, they were like, oh, we'll give you guys good lawyers.
What?
That's literally what they said.
That's bullshit. They should get immunity.
Yeah, I know.
Because they're just protesting. Like, they shouldn't be more punished. Like,
yeah,
oh my
I know.
God.
It's so fucked up.
Okay.
During a second meeting, Billy was undercut by a man named Barry Mackenzie, who was considered to be more level-headed and wanted to exchange the hostages for inmates not being transferred to Millhaven. But this didn't happen because of a bunch of stupid politics stuff that I was like, this is dumb.
Right.
Just with like the warden and other people involved in the prison system.
Yeah. So sorry, he was trying to prevent other incarcerated people from being transferred to Millhaven.
Yeah, he was we'll let the hostages go if you promise that none of us will go to Millhaven.
Right. Yeah. And they were like, no.
Yeah,
Okay.
essentially.
So 2 of the 2 things so far, they've said no.
Yeah. And so at
Awesome.
this time, the army was called in and they surrounded the prison and just held position.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so scary.
So now we're at a point where Billy was seen like someone that could be a pushover. So he's overtaken as leader by a guy named Brian Boucage, who wanted to kill the hostages, but then turned his attention to the, quote, undesirables, unquote, or the rapists and child molesters of the prison. 16 of whom were tied up and tortured by other inmates.
Fair.
And
Fair
as a
game.
side note, sometime after the riot, there was a trial held for those who took part in this torture session, and this became known as the Kingston 13.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Because I knew about that. Like, I
Yeah.
recognized that, but I didn't know what it was about.
So that's what
So the 13 were the 13 people who were torturing
these other
the
inmates.
other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The 2 inmates that were murdered during this riot were murdered because they were undesirable.
Right.
So they were,
By other inmates.
yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting. So it wasn't the guards murdering. It wasn't the inmates murdering the guards. It was
No,
inmate
inmates-
on inmate.
Yeah. So one of the men who was murdered, his name was Brian Enser. He was a convicted child molester. And the other was Bertrand Robert, who murdered his 5 children.
I was going to say, I feel like I recognize that name.
Who, Bertrand?
Yeah.
Apparently he boiled them alive. He boiled his 5 kids to death.
What the
Yeah.
That's so fucked up. I can't believe you just said those words.
I know.
Oh my
I know.
God.
I know.
It's like the real Hansel and Gretel witch.
Yeah.
Oh God.
so
Oh,
fucked
that's
up.
so messed up.
Yeah.
Oof. Sorry, listeners, that you had to hear that.
Yeah, sorry.
Life is scarier than fiction.
Yeah. So they killed those 2 people. They're still torturing the other 14. As this went on, the guy who I mentioned earlier, Barry McKenzie, who was trying to talk to the warden about the hostages, went to another cell block and agreed to release the guard hostages in order to stop the torture and murders that were happening.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He was like, okay, well, we actually need a guard to,
well,
like,
most
take
of the
control of this
inmates
situation.
were very uncomfortable and very upset about the torture and murder that was going on.
Yeah.
And like a lot of them vomited and were getting sick and were like, what the fuck? Like
they're like, we
wanted,
don't want to be involved with this.
And this guy
we just wanna be
Brian,
free.
yeah, and this guy Brian was just like, I want to torture and kill a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's so complicated.
It's so
complex.
complicated.
Okay.
Yeah. On April 18th, the hostages were released in the morning. It was decided that if the inmates did not surrender that morning, the army would infiltrate the prison and likely a lot more people would have died. So it was either
They had a choice.
Yeah, either let the hostages go or the army's going to come in and probably kill all of you.
Yeah.
So it was really like this guy, Barry, who was like, we got to get these hostages out of here because I'm fucking done.
Yeah.
Like, people were over it.
Fair.
Already. And it had been 4 days.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. It was a tense surrender for the inmates, as they were really scared that the army would kill them upon seeing them. And so inmates began rushing out of the front gate of the prison, and the army started shooting warning shots into the air.
Oh God.
Because, like,
they didn't want them to run. It was like the inmates were running because they didn't want to be.
Yeah, they were just like running out of the
shot.
Yeah.
But then they were.
But it wasn't like controlled.
Yeah.
So then the army was like, no, it has to be like a controlled surrender.
Yeah.
So then they were like shooting their guns in the air, trying to like, yeah.
God.
It was just like really a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
a serious shit show.
Yeah. So Barry was able to organize the surrender wherein one hostage would be let go per 60 inmates.
Like 60 inmates would be set free.
No. So
Or-
as the inmates were like running out, he would send one hostage every 60 people.
Right. Yeah.
In order, because
yeah.
he's
But where are the inmates trying to go? Like away from the prison.
Yeah, they're like running out of the prison.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So being set free. Yeah.
I mean, but they're not set free at all.
Oh.
Because the army's outside.
Yeah. But that's their hopes, right?
No.
Is the hope is that they're trying to actually escape?
They're not trying to escape.
Oh, I see.
They're just surrendering.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just outside of the building itself.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, they're just surrendering. They're not trying to escape.
Okay.
Because they were scared of surrendering in the first place because they thought that they would be killed on sight. The last prisoner to surrender was Barry, who refused to shake hands with the men in charge because he walks out of the prison and this one guy who was, I don't know who he was some sort of like prison committee asshole. He's like trying to shake hands with Barry. He's like, "You're a good man, Barry." And Barry's like, "Fuck you."
Yeah.
Like, he literally said that. He was like, "Fuck you.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit."
Yeah.
Like, I'm just doing this so more people don't die.
Yeah.
Like, obviously.
Literally. Wow.
Yeah. It was crazy. Not surprisingly, the promises that inmates would not be sent to Millhaven or even beaten weren't honored by the Crown.
Holy shit.
Billy, the original leader of the riot, was singled out by Millhaven guards.
Oh no.
When he was transferred.
Oh no.
Which left him with a fractured skull.
Oh, what the hell?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so terrible.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Of course.
On April 30th, 1971, the Ontario Attorney General ordered an investigation into the allegations that Millhaven guards were beating old Kingston inmates on April 18th and 19th. So the day that the riot ended, a lot of the inmates were transferred to Millhaven.
Wow.
And the guards were beating them up.
Because of course, yeah. Of course that was going to happen. Like,
yeah. On May 27th,
it's a double-edged sword.
11 guards were charged with 24 counts of assault causing bodily harm, and 8 of them went on trial in December and were all acquitted.
What?
Yeah.
Acquitted under what grounds? Like, oh, well, they're inmates, so it doesn't count? They're fucking human beings.
I know. I don't know.
Like, what?
Yeah.
No one else would ever get away with
No.
24 counts of, like, assault.
I know.
And then, yeah, like, be acquitted and not have to face any repercussions for it.
I know.
Holy.
I know.
Okay. That makes me so mad.
Yeah. On June 4th, the prisoners who initially took the 6 guards hostage were charged with kidnapping.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
And all of them but Billy Knight made plea bargains with the Crown.
Yeah, fair.
Billy went on trial separately, but the charges were dismissed under the grounds that the Crown failed to establish that he was the man who took the guards hostage. So they couldn't even, like, I don't know what the prosecution just dropped the ball.
Okay.
And
they're
like
well, they
were like, yeah, he did it. And they're like, okay, how do you know?
On what grounds? Yeah.
And they were like, he did it. Okay. Like, hearsay, he did it. And he talked to the warden. And then the judge was like, no.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good. That's good.
Yeah.
At least there's a little bit of fucking logic.
Like a little bit.
A tiny bit.
Yeah. In October of 1971, the trial for the prisoners involved in the torture and murder of other inmates, dubbed the Kingston 13, began. In November, the trial came to a halt when the Crown made plea bargains with 12 of the accused, pleading guilty to manslaughter, and Brian Boucage pleading guilty to assault. Even though
he was, yeah.
But
maybe he didn't actually murder anyone. Maybe he just was part of the torture.
No, I think he did murder.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, he, like, slit someone's throat, I think.
Oof.
Like, one of, yeah.
Yikes.
And they were like stabbing these guys like a lot of times. And then before they died.
Oof. Okay.
Yeah, like
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It was awful. I didn't want to include exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Or
Good
like
call.
what the other inmates said that they saw, because I had to shut my computer and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that from just trying to do research on this prison.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. An inquiry into the riot was held, where a number of causes were noted for Kingston's failure. So, I guess aged facilities, overcrowding, confinement of inmates who didn't require maximum security. Because there were some people who were in that prison who like just like stole something.
That's the thing.
And they're in maximum security.
That's literally the thing. Once you're in there, for whatever reason it may be, and also like justice, quote unquote, may be fully against you, the rest of your life is fucked.
Yeah, and it's just so crazy because there's different levels of security prisons for a reason. And like, I don't know, if you murder someone and if you're deemed a threat to society, you should be in a higher security prison than someone who just like stole a car.
Yeah, I also don't think that someone who just stole a car should go to jail.
No,
should go to prison.
No.
But if they have to, for whatever fucking reason, like, then yeah, it should not be the same system at all.
No, not at all.
Like, people do things because they don't have the supports that they need in the world.
Yeah.
Like, that is the underlying issue.
Exactly. Other causes for, quote, Kingston's failure, unquote, was, and their failure is the riot, just to be clear.
Yeah.
People were like, you failed as a prison because they rioted like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Too much time spent in cells, which was true because they spent most of their day, and they weren't allowed to talk outside of their cells either. Lack of channels to properly deal with complaints from inmates, and lack of adequate staffing as well. A lot of the time there was like 1 or 2 guards. And like, yeah, like they didn't have enough staff. They probably weren't trained properly.
Yeah.
And I feel like I know this isn't the case for every guard, but a lot of guards probably have a big ego complex over the inmates. Absolutely. Because they're like, I'm better than you.
I'm in control.
Yeah.
There's power. There's intense power in that position.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, like, no recreation. They didn't have any rec.
Yeah, so they originally, like, the prison had a lot of different, like, they had programs. Jobs, like I listed, like, when Charles Dickens visited, they had, like, a bunch of different work. Like, they were stone cutters for the limestone, I assume. Shoemakers, tailors. Women were doing needlework, I guess, probably, like, sewing.
Yeah.
And a lot of that just got taken away over time. Literally, it was abolished by wardens over time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not surprised.
Yeah. So then eventually it really just got to a point where in the 70s, they were like, we literally have nothing. Yeah. They couldn't do anything.
And it's like, yeah, of course, that labor is still exploitative. But at least it's something that they can do to keep them occupied when they're in those situations.
Yeah. You can't just throw someone behind bars and then just let them rot. Like, no. You have to let them do things.
Be a human being.
Yeah.
A human being. They're humans.
Yeah, they're human beings.
Yeah.
And they don't even get the required things to live.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so fucked up.
Yep.
I'd like to add at this point that there were a lot of rumors going around in the media and in Kingston itself during the time of the riot, mainly to do with claims that inmates were raping other inmates, but this was denied very heavily. And the person I mentioned before, Roger Caron, he wrote a book. It's titled Bingo, the horrifying eyewitness account of a prison riot. And in this book, he wrote, quote, no rapes occurred during the riot. Any convict caught committing such an act would have been torn apart by the prison population in much the same fashion as an undesirable would have been treated.
Yeah.
Of course, there was sex during the riot, but only among willing parties. If a blanket was hung over the door of a cell, you didn't go in, end quote.
Yeah, fair. I feel like that's probably actually the case in a lot of prisons.
Oh,
too.
probably, yeah.
I think that kind of like stereotype is just overblown by
for sure. Yeah.
people that don't know how, I don't know, the world works.
Yeah, and like movies and TV and
movies, TV, also like homophobia plays a huge role in that as well. So,
yeah. And I'm sure it does happen.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure it has happened.
Yes. Yeah, we're not saying it hasn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of like, well, if a lot of like inmates believe that rapists are part of like the scum of the earth,
then yeah.
Yeah.
So that is really the end of the riot of April 1971.
Wow.
But that's not the end of our time in Kingston Penitentiary.
Okay.
For such a notable prison, there's bound to be some escapes from the 170
thought you were
years.
going to go into ghosts.
It was, I'll get there.
This is a long one.
There are 3 escapes that I was able to find. One occurred on September 10th, 1923. A man named Norman Ryan planned and carried out an escape with other inmates by setting fire to a shed and using a ladder to climb over the wall. They literally just like set fire and were like, grab that ladder, let's go.
That's a distraction. Yeah. Sorry, what year?
1923.
That's so 20s.
So probably still wooden fence around the prison.
No cameras, no nothing. So probably honestly like good idea.
Yeah. They stole a car.
Nice.
And then fled the city.
And they just made it out?
And that's that for that one.
Wow. So they're living. Well, they might be dead by now. That was 100 years ago, but they were living and they did it.
I think
they
so.
escaped.
Yeah.
Holy.
August 17th, 1947, a couple men, Nicholas Minnelli, Ulysses Lozon, and
Lasagna?
Bazania's chief of police, and Donald McDonald.
Oh my god. Okay, amazing.
Climbed over the wall behind the east cell block after cutting through the bars of their cells.
Whoa, with what?
I don't know.
Come on,
it's 1947.
Maybe like a butter knife.
Yeah.
Just slowly.
Well, they had workshops. So
true.
I don't know.
Yeah.
A file.
Yeah, they probably took one. Yeah.
Minnelli and Lozon were captured, but McDonald was never found.
Donald McDonald is Ronald McDonald.
Oh no.
Conspiracy.
And then in 1999, a man named Ty Khan was the first to evade capture for multiple weeks since 1836.
Whoa. So he was like, this hasn't happened in 160 years.
He really made history.
Yeah.
He was then surrounded by Toronto RCMP.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Wait, I didn't know that Ontario had RCMP.
By Toronto RCMP.
I know, but I meant the province. I thought it was just a BC thing for some reason, but I guess not.
What? Are you okay? Wait, what? Royal Canadian Mounted Police?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why.
Are you thinking of like Ontario Provincial Police, OPP?
No. I thought that the RCMP were I thought that they were phased out of the other provinces.
Oh.
And that they pretty much are only in BC now.
Oh, I don't know. Is that a thing?
Well, I know that cities have their own police as well.
Yeah.
But I guess outside of cities, it's just RCMP.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking about Calgary.
Yeah.
You know, like Calgary has like Calgary Police. Or Toronto has Toronto Police, like the Metropolitan Toronto Police.
Yeah.
But then they also have RCMP?
Well, they have, like, Ontario has OPP. Ontario Provincial Police. But
And
I think
RCMP?
I think so.
Holy fuck. Why do they need so many goddamn cops?
Well, RCMP is federal.
Oh, God. Okay. Anyways.
So, like, we have...
Everyone have a good laugh at ye old Jamie.
Well, so, because we have Victoria Police, and then we have Municipal Police.
Yeah.
And then we also have RCMP.
Yes. That's true. Right.
Yeah.
True. Well, but we don't have provincial police. I guess we have sheriffs.
Yeah, what?
What's going on here?
Different kinds.
Okay, defund the police. Anyways.
Anyway, so those are the escapes.
Wow.
And now notable inmates of the prison.
Okay.
Include, but are not limited to, there's a lot actually. Paul Bernardo.
From the Beatles?
No. Paul Bernardo and Carla Homolka.
I don't remember.
You don't remember Paul Bernardo?
From the Manson family murders.
No.
Fuck.
He served time in Kingston Pen through 1987 to 1992 for murder and sexual assault. In 95, Bernardo was convicted of 2 counts of first-degree murder and was later convicted of manslaughter for the murder of his ex-wife. Not his ex-wife, but his ex-wife's younger sister, Lori. And Carla Homolka,
yeah,
she was a part of it.
I recognize the names, but they're all mixed up with all the other ones in my head. He doesn't have some bigger name to him, like he's not the Night Stalker.
That is a big name in Canada.
Oh.
And Carla Homolka is free now.
Oh.
Yeah.
You think she's listening to this?
No, she lives like somewhere tropical and has like a husband.
Okay.
But like she's not very innocent.
Oh god.
She like helped him kill her sister.
For what purpose?
And he like raped her sister. It's a big thing.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah.
Anyways.
Anyway. Bernardo was transferred to Millhaven when Kingston Pen closed in 2013 and was later transferred to a medium security prison called La Macaza Institution in 2023, where he is still there now.
Today.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And Carla's free.
Okay.
Wayne Bowden, the so-called Canadian vampire rapist, who was an active serial killer and rapist between 1969 and 1971. He killed 4 women and received 4 life sentences.
Whoa, I never heard of this man.
I know, we should do a story on him.
Okay.
He's on my list.
Okay.
His conviction was the first in North America due to forensic odontological evidence.
Wow.
So his teeth.
Wow.
Yeah.
Before he bit, I think I do know.
He bit their breasts. Before Ted Bundy. Ted
Bundy is so overrated.
Yeah, he really is. But,
overrated, boring, blah, boo,
but you know
gross.
how they used his teeth?
Yeah.
Yeah, same for this guy. Was the first in North America.
Oh, okay, that's why I recognized it, because Ted Bundy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Bernie
Sanders.
I just spat everywhere.
Also, sorry, I made that joke about Bernie Sanders.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I love him. Sorry.
Bernie Guindon, who was the president of the Satan's Choice Motorcycle Club.
Okay.
He served part of a rape sentence at Kingston from 1969 to 1970. His son was also held in Kingston in 2011.
Apples don't fall far from trees.
I guess not when you're part of Satan's Choice Motorcycle Club.
I mean, hey now, we can't hate on the Satan worshippers.
Listen,
or the motorcycle gangs.
That's a pretty crazy name though. Satan's Choice?
That is kind of a crazy name. Very badass.
Yeah, right?
Listen though, there are a lot of cool, badass people that don't do bad things.
Super true.
Actual bad things.
Super true.
That are Satan worshippers.
I just really like the name of their motorcycle club.
Me too.
Several of the Port Hope 8, which were 8 members of the Satan's Choice Motorcycle Club, who were charged with the murder of a man named William Madiak in Port Hope, Ontario. Only 6 were convicted and 4 of them were held at Kingston from 1979 to 1980. a man named Wayne Ford, who murdered his mother in 1961 after she got mad at him for damaging the family car.
Oh my God.
He was one of the
Men, listen, go to therapy.
Yeah. He was one of the main inmates that encouraged the 1971 riot.
Interesting. Yeah, because he was like, well, I'm mad.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. And then, of course, Roger Caron, who I have mentioned before, he was a robber. That's why he was in Kingston.
Damn.
Yeah.
That sucks.
And so he wrote a memoir in 1979 titled Go Boy, Memories of a Life Behind Bars.
Wow.
This book details his life growing up in reformatories, prisons, and mental institutions from the age of 16 well into his 30s.
Holy shit.
His title, Go Boy, comes from prison culture, as it would be yelled when an inmate would break from a work crew in an escape attempt.
Oh, yeah. I kind of love that. Go boy.
Yeah.
Go boy.
Caron successfully broke out of multiple jails and prisons. 13 to be exact.
Holy.
I kind of love him.
I love him too.
More than any other criminal in Canadian history. Yeah.
Damn. And is he out now? He's free?
I think I'll get there.
Okay.
Hold on. Caron also wrote Bingo, the horrifying eyewitness account of a prison riot, which was released in 1985 and detailed his account of the 1971 riot. So Caron was paroled after how successful Go Boy became. And actually won a contract with Correctional Services Canada to give motivational talks to inmates.
Caron.
But then he went back to prison.
Oh.
And he went to a couple psych hospitals.
Oh, fair.
Until the age of 67 when he was released as a free man.
Aw.
He also wrote a couple other books. One titled Jojo, which is a work of fiction. And the other titled Dream Caper, which is a story based on a 1976 armed robbery of a Brinks truck in Montreal.
Whoa.
So this Roger Caron guy is pretty cool.
Damn. I hope he is still alive and living his best life now.
I think he is either still alive and lives... Oh, I think he actually has dementia. But he got he had a wife when he got out. He had a wife and now he's in a home, I think.
Wow. Damn, cool guy.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe made some poor choices, but also who knows what choices he even had.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Well, like I said, he was passed around to institutions and reformatories from 16 well into his 30s. So, I mean, obviously he didn't have any support.
Yeah. And sometimes, like, the bad choice that you make is the choice that you need to make for survival.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah. And then another person who is quite notable in Canada's history, his name is Clifford Olson, who described himself as the beast.
Big red dog.
No, the beast of BC.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like that at all.
He killed 11 children.
Oh, fuck him.
Which actually led to restrictions of early paroled murderers, and which also led to the elimination of faint hope laws, which allowed prisoners to have a parole hearing before serving 25 years to life.
Oh, interesting. Oh, I didn't know that. So that's what the law is now. You have to serve your 25 years?
Yes.
Whoa.
Before you get parole.
Wow. Whoa. If you're like given a life sentence.
I don't really know how that... Yeah, but I don't really think that is how it works because people ask for parole before then.
Yeah, I'm sure it's super situational, circumstantial, depends on what's going on. Anyway, fuck that guy though.
Yeah. But he also led to the development of a police tracking system for violent crimes.
Oh.
So.
Okay. People are multifaceted.
Yeah, I mean, he killed a bunch of kids and it was awful, but it kind of led to some better things.
Yeah. It's interesting because it's like, do you think he did that to then try to like get something out of it for himself? Or was he genuinely trying to help? Do you know what I mean?
No, I think he killed 11 children and then people were like, and then the police system was like, oh, we gotta make some changes.
Oh, like he didn't help make that.
No, like...
Oh, I understand. Sorry,
like,
I thought you meant that
no.
he helped the way it was worded. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I get it. Like, they were like, oh, fuck, we need to
like
fix.
when he was caught, it helped bring about some changes.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
To help catch other violent offenders.
Gotcha.
Like him.
Cool.
Yeah. To prevent less killing. So Clifford Olson spent 10 years in Kingston from 1982 to 1992. And then he was relocated to Saskatchewan, where he died in custody. And these are only a handful of many notorious criminals who spent time within the penitentiary before it closed after 178 years of being open. And we're not done yet.
Listen.
Now we're into the ghosts.
Yay!
Yeah, get a snack now, because now it's
a snack. My tummy keeps grumbling.
Well, do you want to go get one?
No.
I'm almost done. Now we'll go into the ghost after that horrific history of this prison. An article titled "My Encounter with the Kingston Pen's Notorious Deceased Employee, a Summer Job at Kingston's Haunted Prison Taught Me More Than Customer Service" by Riley McCann in the Queen's Journal wrote about their experience as a tour guide at the prison. So during their first tour, Riley was leading 31 people through the prison, and they were kind of struggling to remember all the information and felt as though they were losing some of the tourists. Thankfully, they were nearing the last stop of their tour to speak with a previous nurse of the prison in what is called the prison of isolation, which was the solitary confinement,
right?
Which was turned into the regional treatment center or the psych hospital.
Okay.
Yeah. During the nurse's story, Riley was standing with their back to a blocked off cell block when they heard keys jingling. Initially, they thought another staff member was messing around with them during their first tour, but the sound continued, so they turned around to see the shadow of a man standing behind the locked entryway, who walked down the cell block towards Riley, spinning his key ring in his hand to lock the cell in front of him.
Whoa.
Riley stood with their mouth open, watching the apparition closing each cell and then walking up back the block.
Whoa.
After the tour, they told one of the other guides what they saw, and they laughed and said, "Oh, that's just William Wentworth," who was a guard who was murdered in a bathroom, and his killer was caught 30 years after his death.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm. On another tour, Riley led the group into a courtyard, and when holding the door open, the door was facing a gated area that used to be huts for women prisoners.
Mm-hmm.
And so while Riley was holding the door open, they saw an orb floating by the huts. So then they shifted the door thinking it was a reflection, but the orb didn't move.
Interesting.
It was faintly glowing like a, quote, translucent Christmas ornament on a piece of fishing line, just hanging in the empty space, end quote. When returning to the area a while later, the orb was gone, but Riley held the feeling that their tour group was being observed.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
That's creepy.
I also went on Reddit to try and find any other personal stories from spirits within the prison.
Nice. Love it.
And user critical_paper on r/Kingston, Ontario, who used to work for the tours when they began, because I think the tours began like 2014 or like end of 2013, not long after the prison officially closed its doors.
Wow.
They were taking a break in the building where the dining hall used to be when they saw someone dressed in a gray uniform and a ball cap walk by a window that looked into the hallway of the building, and the clothes that they were wearing didn't match any of the staff uniforms, and they didn't hear any footsteps through the building until the person walked by the window.
Oh,
so they
just
didn't hear,
then they heard the footsteps.
Just when the person walked by the window, they heard footsteps, and then they didn't see anyone walk into the building and someone would have had to walk past them to walk into that hallway.
Whoa.
And then they were like, I'm never going in there alone ever again.
Yeah, fair. Spooky.
Mm-hmm. And then I also listened to a podcast episode from the podcast Haunted Canada. And they have a couple ghosty stories of some people who continued to reside in the prison walls. One is a man named George Hewell, who was convicted of rape in October of 1887 and sentenced to life in prison. George wasn't very well liked.
Fair.
But I think he was also a person of color. So,
Not
person
fair.
of color, 1887.
Yikes.
Life was probably harsh on him.
Yeah. Yep.
He received 20 disciplinary reports.
Okay.
Yeah. And was reported to be dangerous to the other inmates. And he would often be sent to the dungeons.
What the fuck? Okay.
Yeah.
Not fair.
In 1896, he allegedly attacked a prisoner and a guard and was sent to an area of the prison known as the Prison of Isolation. He was sent there for 6 months.
What?
Yeah, he was sent to solitary confinement for 6 months.
That is not okay. Oh my god.
And a lot of the time, like originally, the solitary confinement area was reserved for the most dangerous inmates across the country. And so by October of 1896, he'd spent 7 months in solitary confinement.
Holy.
And was being overseen by a very manipulative guard who was known to egg on prisoners and write them up for acting out.
That's so
or even just keep them in the prison of isolation because he felt like it.
That's so fucked up. Ugh.
On October 8th, George complained of chest pain and was able to be examined by the doctor, but the doctor said there was nothing wrong with him. So George got angry because he wasn't feeling well.
Yeah.
And he was like, you don't believe me.
And he's also been in isolation. He's also been
Yeah.
treated like shit his whole life, probably.
So he wanted to see the warden, but the guard just gave him another month in the isolation wing
Holy.
for getting angry.
Oh my god.
So George became inconsolable.
Yeah.
And the guard, whose name was Donnelly, wrote up another disciplinary report. Upon hearing the report, the warden ordered George to be released back into the general population.
Good.
The warden was like, he's had enough. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Good.
But so they went to his cell to like be like, okay, you're gonna come back out with the general population. But he was so inconsolable. He was clutching a pair of tailoring shears that he had stolen while working. And so the guard drew his gun and fired it at George's face.
Why?
Because he's
What
a
the
dick
fuck?
and racist and he sucks. So George was rushed to the hospital where he died due to the bullet being lodged in his brain.
This is a sad story. This is really sad.
It's said that during his dying breaths, he swore he would come back to haunt the prison, and thus the legend of George Hewell grew. Past prisoners have heard whispers in the corridors of someone promising revenge.
Yeah.
People have often
Go,
felt,
boy. Get him.
Yeah, a sense of dread where George lived and took his last breath. Former employees of the prison used to find items misplaced. They would just be looking for something and it wasn't there. Then they'd find it elsewhere. And they've also experienced cold spots even during the summer months, accompanied by echoing footsteps in the halls. And inmates have even claimed to see a dark figure with glowing eyes
Whoa.
in the prison, like
Wow.
a shadow man.
Ooh, creepy.
Yeah, so a lot of people think it's George because he's grumpy.
Yeah, for good reason.
Prisoners and guards alike have claimed to feel a phantom hand on their shoulder with no one around them. So could this be George fulfilling his last claim
Maybe.
to forever haunt the prison?
That makes me so mad because that guard probably got no punishment or repercussions for that. And, like, he didn't even have any right to kill him,
I know.
to shoot him.
No.
He wasn't being violent in that moment. He was just holding the shears.
Yeah, I think he was like yelling and
Right.
yeah.
Okay, so maybe. But
Not being
still,
like physically violent, but like he was very angry.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like mentally unwell, obviously, because they pushed him to his limits and made him that way.
Yeah.
They
Exactly.
created that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy.
Another very well-known ghost is William Wentworth, who I mentioned from that story from that person Riley. So William Wentworth used to work the night shift of the prison. He found work at Kingston Penitentiary after being overseas during World War II and was very well liked and respected by his coworkers. In November of 1961, he was the only officer in charge of 42 inmates in his cell block on the graveyard shift.
Oh, God.
He was posted outside the locked doors of Dormitory C and was meant to go in periodically to ensure all prisoners were inside their cells. So while he was doing this, though, this left the main door to that cell block unlocked because he was alone for that cell block.
Why didn't he lock himself in? Wait, I don't really understand how it works.
So there's a cell block.
Yeah.
Each prisoner is locked in their cell, and there's a door that leads to the cell block. Mm-hmm. So he would just unlock it, walk down, make sure everyone was in their cells, walk back out, and then lock it.
I see.
I don't know if he could.
He probably, because it's probably just like, well, maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think there's probably supposed to be more than one person.
Yeah.
But he was alone.
Yeah.
This night.
Yikes.
Yeah. At 12:30 in the morning, William was going through his regular routine, walking down the halls of the dormitory when the sound of his keys went silent, and he didn't return to his post at the door.
Uh-oh.
At 2 a.m., another guard saw that William wasn't at his post, and he began to check the area when he discovered William's body in the bathroom on the floor. He'd been stabbed to death.
Oof.
Rumors took over the prison, which were fueled by an inmate named David McLean, who suggested a violent confrontation took place between William and an inmate. It's believed the inmates in the cell block knew who the person was who killed William, but didn't want to say anything.
I bet.
32
no snitching.
Years later, in 1993, Kingston police solved the murder. Inmate Rolf Cochran was charged with first-degree murder of William Wentworth.
Wow.
And William's spirit is said to appear as a shadowy figure in the hallways of Dormitory C, spinning his keys and checking the cell blocks, just like Riley mentioned.
Aww.
Yeah.
Well, how did the inmate get out?
I don't know.
And then
they don't know.
If he was the only one on shift, why didn't he just leave? The inmate just leave?
Well, no, there's other guards.
Oh, just in
that one cell block was just where Willie,
I understand.
Yeah.
Wow.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Wild.
Some people claim to see streaks of gray mist that form into a prison guard. So he's either shadow or he's misty. And they often feel cold spots in the bathroom where he was found. And that's the story of William Wentworth. Other accounts from people who visited the penitentiary have experienced lights flickering on and off, casting shadows into the prison cells, whispers in the hallway when there's no one there, likely of old guards communicating, screams and crying from cells of inmates who were isolated and more than likely abused, and many visitors report an overwhelming sense of dread, foreboding, and like a fight or flight to get out of the prison. It's even reported, this one, I don't know if I believe this one. If you look in the mirror of the women's washroom, you'll see a man standing behind you wearing a guard uniform.
Ooh, creepy.
Yeah. So it's clear that previous inmates and guards who died within the walls of Kingston Penitentiary continue to reside within its limestone walls. And I think limestone is also said to be a conductor of spiritual energy.
Yes.
So it
that
would
is true.
Make sense for all of the horrors that happen in this space.
Yeah.
That there are spirits there.
Yeah.
And that
it would make sense.
Is the story of Kingston Penitentiary.
Holy moly.
I know.
Nice job.
Thank you. Do you want to see what it looks like?
Yeah.
That's what an aerial view of it. It's big.
Wow, it is huge.
Yeah.
And yes, it is right on the water.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's like what, one of the Great Lakes?
I pulled it up on maps in another tab.
Okay, let's see. Juju Maps. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on what? Lake Ontario.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's huge and
It's like all brick also.
No, it's limestone.
Oh, sorry. Limestone. Well, it's bricks of limestone.
Yeah.
But yes, it's not the usual like red Ontario brick.
No.
Damn.
Yeah. Whoa. Jamie's stomach just sounded like a thunderstorm.
Yeah, it's not doing very well. Crazy.
Yeah.
I was just gonna pull something up. Since you did this story on a prison and on incarcerated people, I wanted to share this site and this like brand.
Yes.
It's called For Everyone Collective. FOR and then everyone. So like it's for everyone. And it's worker owned and collectively operated by formerly incarcerated people and their loved ones with living wages and free healthcare as well. So they have some really cool merch. They have really cool books once in a while as well, and like tote bags. And yeah, so if you are interested in donating to them or getting something from them, they have stickers, they have really cool shirts and sweaters and tote bags. And I think it's just a really, really beautiful site and brand and company. So if you have money, go support them.
Yes.
And thank you for listening.
Thank you, everybody.
And we will see you next time.
Bye.
If you have any questions or comments or would like to share one of your spooky stories with us, you can DM us on Instagram at Ghoul Society Pod, or you can send us an email at ghoulsocietypod@gmail.com. The show notes can be found for each episode in the description, as well as trigger warnings for each episode. And that's everything.
Thanks.
Bye.
Ratticus
Climbs the mouse, is a mouse, climbs the floor, climbs a wall. Look out, here comes a Ratticus.
Nice.
Thank you.